at class. So be sure to check that out. And I think what we're going to do here, if you were curious of kind of the schedule, we're going to have Frank do a presentation, and then we're going to end it with a Q&A. And if anyone would like to hang out after, I know it'll be a little bit later, but if you would like to hang out and chat and network or whatever it may be, we'll be hanging out a little bit after the Q&A session as well. So Frank, I will let you take it from here.
All right, great. Thank you, Dan. And so probably the first question you're asking yourselves is, who the hell is this guy and why are we listening to him? So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a serial entrepreneur. I have worked with over 3,000 clients, training, coaching people for the past 30 plus years. I've worked with close to, at this point, 600 companies throughout North America, Europe, and the Caribbean. I've been lucky to work with a lot of vertical markets, so I'm pretty vertical agnostic. And I have worked with a lot of creatives. And in fact, a lot of the clients that I have right now are creatives. I come to this also as a past creative. So working with creatives for me is kind of my sweet spot. I really enjoy it because we, and I'm going to include myself in there, we have very, very specific and very unique issues that sometimes hamper our progress. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. Probably all of you, or most of you, are thinking right now, has this guy always had that beautiful mustache? And my answer is yes. I was born with it, and I've had it my entire life. So let's get on to some housekeeping. First off, as Dan said, we're gonna go for about an hour, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So what I strongly recommend that you do, a couple of things. Number one, keep your mics on mute and save your questions for the end. I will probably get to most of your questions even before you think of asking it. But if you do have a question, jot it down, and we're going to attack it at the end. Do take plenty of notes. If any of you want certain aspects of this, I will share a PDF of some screens, but do take notes because it's going to be relevant to each and every one of you in different ways. So again, Q&A at the end. And if you haven't guessed it by now, learning should be fun. And every class, every session that I do, I want to try to make sure that we're all enjoying ourselves. Next thing I'm going to ask you is, think to yourselves, what the heck is sales? And think about it from the perspective of what it is that you do. We've shared the fact that some of us are graphic artists, photographers, videographers, right? All sorts of creatives. A lot of my clients are also web developers, who in many respects are also creatives. And then there's this thing called sales. So I want you to ask yourself what you think sales is. And it's really a rhetorical question. It's something for you to think about. But let me tell you what I think sales is, since it's something that I've been doing for over 40 years. For me, I consider sales a martial art. It's nothing less than a martial art. Sales is not educating people. Sales is not giving things away. Sales is certainly not doing something for people at a reduced price. Sales is not reducing or discounting what you do. And sales should not be hard if you consider it a martial art. And if it is a martial art, a couple of things I have to tell you. Number one, I'm not going to teach everything tonight. There's no way that I can teach anyone sales in 1 hour or one night or one entire day. Sales is a discipline that takes time. And when I start with people, I consider everyone a white belt, even if they've been selling for 20 or 30 years. And in fact, when I started doing this 15 years ago, after 15 years of selling, I want you to stop and consider this. 15 years ago, after selling for all that time, I went back to school and learned everything all over again. So I start everyone off with a white belt. And my job is to bring people up to yellow, red, and so on. So again, it's a discipline that requires and has a lot of different aspects, which we're going to talk about tonight. So I want you to think about what your goals are, right? So all of you signed up. Something attracted you to this seminar. In one way or another, it piqued your interest. And some of you may have said, well, I've been selling for 15 years, 10 years. I know how to sell. I don't need this, but here you are. And I'm glad you're here. But some of you may want to learn different aspects of sales that are very unique to you. Maybe some of you want to grow your company. Maybe some of you feel that you're discounting too much. Maybe some of you feel that you're working too hard. You're working long hours. You know, some of the complaints that I hear are just that. Some people tell me that they need to develop a healthy pipeline. A lot of people tell me that they're tired of this up and down and up and down. You know, we're out there selling, we're out there networking, we're out there cold calling, we're out there doing all this. And then we pop 1, 2, 3 deals and we get into production mode, into creative mode. And while we're busy doing these things, we're not out there prospecting. So we finish the projects and we wake up one morning, projects are finished, and we look around and we have no pipeline. So one of the complaints I hear is that. Another is that a lot of people feel that they have to discount all the time. Some people, especially the creatives, I find, because they are creative, because they're doing this out of love, not just to pay bills, right? They're doing this out of love. They're doing this because it's a talent that they have. You know, feel insulted that people will ask them to discount their work. You know, you look at StrixMedia. You guys are creatives. You guys are going out there. I know what it takes for you to do what you do. I know what it takes to plan something out, to produce, to direct, then to edit and re-edit and edit again. And it might be insulting for you when someone looks at you and says, oh, come on, you can do this cheaper. Give me 10% off. You know, so discounting all the time is a problem. And some of you want to be able to grow your company. So those may be some of your goals. You may have other goals. My goals for tonight are to show you, to explain to you that sales is a martial art. I want to give you some quick strategies and tactics. And I want to show you that you can work smarter and not harder. Now, again, my disclaimer is I'm not going to teach everything in 1 hour. And by the way, I need for you to strap yourselves in, because once I get started, we are going to go 100 miles an hour. Okay. So let's look at some of the challenges that people may have, and in particular creatives. But you know, before I go any further, it's not just creatives, it's entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of solopreneurs. I work with a lot of people that, excuse me, are just starting out, that are maybe a one-person company or 2 or 3 people, and they want to be able to grow their company. So let me cherry pick some of the challenges that I run into on a regular basis. Some challenges are external. And what I mean is, sometimes people come to me and they say, you know, Frank, I'm really, really tired of people treating me like a commodity. People come to me and they say, well, why should I hire you? You know, you're a videographer. I can find 10 videographers tomorrow. You know, why should I hire you, a graphic artist? I can go to, you know, any website. I can go to Fiverr and pay someone 1/10 of what you're asking. And that's insulting. So some people tell me that, you know, the external challenges that they have are that they're treated like a commodity. Sometimes they also complain that people are researchers. They put us in a column on their spreadsheet. And they tell us, well, listen, I'm going to look at you and I'm going to look at 4 other people. And I'm going to get the best price. And that's who I'm going to give the business to. So we run into those people. You know, another problem that we run into is the competition. I want you to think about this. If your competitors are discounting, it affects you directly. Because now what's happening is the prospects out there, the clients out there, the suspects out there are being, if you think about it, are being conditioned to want a discount. So if your competition is discounting, people are going to come to you and expect, demand a discount. Some complaints that I hear from people are the economy or the catastrophes, right? I mean, think of this past year, the challenges that we all had. So a lot of people that I've spoken to in the past year have come to me because of these challenges. And listen, from my perspective, whether it's 2020 and the pandemic or 2008 and 2009, right, and the recession, for me, as a business owner, someone that's been in business way over 30 years, I can tell you that there's always going to be something. And one of the things that we have to do in a business is to control the things that we can and not worry so much about the things that we cannot control. None of us can do anything about the pandemic. What we can control are our behaviors. We can't control adversity. Adversity is going to come at us. Every one of us, nobody gets away, right? But what we can control is how we handle adversity. Some of the challenges are internal. And I tell you, a lot of people come to me and say, well, Frank, I'm not worthy enough. One of the first exercises that I work on with a new client is I look at their pricing. And I have to tell you, 9 times out of 10, I find that people are not charging what they should be charging. So literally, one of the first things I work on is that pricing. And when I start working on that with people, they'll tell me, well, I don't think I'm worthy enough. Or I'm not experienced enough. I don't know enough. Or I'm too young. Or I'm too this. Or I'm too that. And these are all internal factors that I put under the heading of head trash. Okay. Some people also tell me, well, other people are discounting. I have to discount. I have to do it because everybody else is doing it. And they'll also then tell me, well, you know what? It's okay. I'll make it up on the next one. Guys, you never make it up on the next one. And if you ever discount, you're setting a dangerous precedent with that particular client. And another, probably one of the biggest ones is selling. That sucks. That's yucky. That's beneath me. I don't like the selling thing. I'm a creative. I'm a graphic artist. I'm a videographer. I'm a photographer. I'm a web designer. Okay, whatever it is, this thing called sales, I really don't like it. What happens is that all of that gets us to this, right? All of those external and internal challenges will get us to this point where we wind up working harder, not smarter. And I have to have one of the other things that I work on with people is their time management. And I can't tell you how many times I run into people that just this week, I had 2 separate clients tell me one of my biggest challenges is that I'm working 70 hours a week. And I'm taking on deals and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm working 70 hours a week, pulling my hair out. I don't like it. I'm not having fun. So that doesn't work for me. And here's the thing. If you think about it, every one of you studied something, right? Every one of you has a discipline that you have studied. Right? None of you just woke up one morning and decided to grab a camera and, okay, I'm a videographer. Okay, I'm a photographer. Okay, you all have talents, but they're talents that you've applied discipline to, you've learned, you've taught yourself, you've researched. And if you stop and think about it, that is only one aspect of what you do. You should consider that only one thing, one of the hats that you wear. So one of the hats that you wear sure is, production, delivery, right? Creating, directing, editing a video, taking photographs, creating art, whatever it is. All right, but that's your discipline, and that's one of the hats that you wear. And what happens, unfortunately, is that a lot of people that come to me, they say, yeah, I've got this discipline, I do this thing. And listen, not just creatives. I've worked with a lot of financial planners, a lot of people in insurance. Technology has been huge for me. Hospitality, manufacturing, wholesale distribution. And these are all professionals that studied a discipline, got really, really good at something, mastered something. And then what happens? They open up a business and they realize that, oops, it's not just doing this, it's also selling. So what happens is that all of these people just fall into sales. They wake up one morning and they say, well, holy moly, wait, you mean I got to go out and sell? And what they don't realize at that point, oftentimes, is that selling is not telling. If any one of you has ever heard someone say to you, selling, that's easy. You just go out there, tell them what you do, tell them the price, and they'll buy. If you've ever heard that from anyone, you know that that's not true. And I'm sure that every one of you has gone out there, told someone what you do, what the price is, and they'll look at you like you have two heads and not buy. So this is what I mean as far as a discipline, right? A martial art. So let me give you some solutions. All right, so do strap yourselves in. I'm going to go pretty quickly here because I'm going to show you one thing. I'm going to give you the full boat. I'm going to give you kind of a big global, holistic view of everything that's entailed in sales. And when I say everything, I really don't mean everything, because as Mary Jo and Steve can tell you, it takes a lot. There's a lot more than I'm not going to be able to talk about tonight. But what I did is I cherry picked some of the major things that we need to know in sales. And by the way, before I get started, I want to point out that if you study martial arts, if any one of you has ever studied martial arts, you know that there's a lot to martial arts. It's not just kicking. It's not just learning how to punch, right? It's blocking. It's doing different things in different ways. If you've ever met someone that has studied martial arts seriously, you'll know that anyone that studies martial arts seriously studies not one discipline, but typically several disciplines. So that's the way I look at sales. It's studying different disciplines. So let me make a couple of suggestions. Number one, start with your goals in mind. Any one of my clients will tell you that at the end of every year, at the beginning of every year, I always tell them, all right, what are the goals? What do you want to accomplish this year? What did you do this year versus last year? What were your sales? How many clients did you land? How did you do it? How did you get there? Great, here we are, 2020. What do you want to do in 2021? Let's look at Q1, 2, 3, 4. You have to treat it like a business. So first look at the goals that you want to accomplish in this coming year. At this point in time, every single one of my clients not only knew at the end of December what they wanted to accomplish in terms of revenue and in terms of numbers of new clients and how much residual they wanted to build up in 2021. But at this point, all of my clients are tracking their Q1 sales. What did they do in January, February, March? How does that compare to last year? How does it compare to the year before? What do I want to do next quarter? So always start with your goals. Final thing on goals, goals are your goals, what it is that you want to accomplish. As someone that's been an entrepreneur for over 30 years, I can tell you that one of my main reasons for being a solopreneur and an entrepreneur is, one, I wanted the freedom, the liberty to work for myself and to be able to give myself a raise whenever I wanted to. And the way I always gave myself a raise when I wanted to was to go out and get more clients. And that's the one huge advantage that we have as creatives, as solopreneurs. Whenever we want to give ourselves a raise, all we have to do is go out there and hustle some more. So let me give you some philosophy. First off, you're a business. You have to consider yourself a business, right? And you're in business to make money, to pay your bills, but also to have fun, to be fulfilled, right? You are a specialist at anything that you do. You are a specialist. In the early 2000s, I built websites. I was one of the early companies doing websites, but that is not in my wheelhouse. That is not what I do right now. I have clients that do that. I have clients that are specialists in that. And guess what? They're specialists. They should be paid as specialists. And so are all of you. You need to get paid for what you do. You need to differentiate yourself from being a vendor and become a trusted advisor. I can spend an hour talking to you about being a trusted advisor. I can't do that right now, but I will say this. Think about this. A vendor is someone that's transactional. A vendor is someone that can be replaced. You all deal with certain vendors that you could replace tomorrow with another vendor. Don't be a vendor, be a trusted advisor. For me, a trusted advisor is someone that people will pick up the phone and call when they need whatever it is that they need without even thinking about it, without any hesitation. And the way to become a trusted advisor, as I teach my clients, is to first become a diagnostician. You have to be able to diagnose what it is that people need. You know, if I look at, for instance, StrixMedia, right? Company comes to them and says, oh, we want a video, we want a commercial. What's their process? They're going to ask them a lot of questions. Sure, you want a commercial, you want to do it? Great. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Where do you want to do it? Who's going to be in it? What's going to be in it? How long? So they're going to ask a series of questions, and they're going to ask what it is that the suspect, soon to be prospect, soon to be client wants. So what we want to learn how to be first is a trusted advisor. And the way we do that is through learning how to become a diagnostician first. The other thing is not to be transactional. One of the things that I teach people is that I don't want to be transactional. I don't want to take a photograph today, take a video today, do a graphic, do a logo today. That's nothing. That's transactional. Anybody can do that. What I want is a client for life. I have some clients that I've had for 30 years. 30 years that I first got not doing what I'm doing today. So what I want is someone that is a client for life, someone that's going to make introductions and help me bring my company up through organic growth. So again, sales is a martial art. There are 4 pillars that are important. One is processes. You know, think about anyone out there that edits, anyone that does photography, anything that you do, you each have a process for doing what you do, right? If I'm creating a video, well, there's someone that's producing, someone that's finding the site, finding the material, finding the people. I've got someone that's going to be directing, someone that's writing script, right? And then they're going to pass it on to the editor who's going to edit it. Then there's post or production. Right? Think of the entire process. You have a process for everything that you do. Sales requires nothing less. Sales is process driven. How I prospect, where I prospect, what I say when I prospect. Miles trains people to say certain things so they can get a job. Well, there's a process to that, right? Well, sales is the same thing. There is a process for doing everything. When you send an email, for instance, I had a client, and I'll give you an example. I had a client yesterday email me a challenge that they have with a large company that they're dealing with in New York. And my client said, I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do. They want this, they want that. I really don't know what to do. So I walked them through the process of sending the exact email strategically that they needed to send with certain tactics in there, a certain length, a certain cadence, certain wording that they sent. And I heard this morning that they did send that email and they got what they needed. And they calmed the client down that was demanding all sorts of things. Now, they didn't know how to do that. That's why they reached out to me. The reason I know how to do that is because there's a process for everything. And the process is strategically and tactically driven. So again, I need a strategy for everything. I need a strategy for prospecting, strategy for networking, a strategy for cold calling or warm calling, a strategy that ties into my marketing. For any of you that work on LinkedIn that put videos out or pictures or posts, any kind of posts on whether it's LinkedIn or social media, right? Your sales has to sync up with your marketing. So again, it's strategic. You need to be able to deploy certain tactics in each and every case. So if I'm going to sit here with Miles and ask him questions, tactically, I know what questions I'm going to ask him, when I'm going to ask him, what questions I'm not going to ask him at certain points, and what questions I am going to ask him in later points. So again, everything is tactical as well. The other thing too is psychology. One of the things that I teach and my clients know is DISC, personality styles, and a lot of other psychology, transactional analysis, okay, not okay. I need to be able to understand myself psychologically, and I need to be able to understand people and talk to people the way they need to be spoken to, the way they want to be spoken to. I need to treat people the way they wish to be treated, not the way I want to be treated. So it takes a lot of psychology. The next thing is to understand one thing. It's the funniest thing for me. Sometimes I talk to people and they'll say, I love sales. Sometimes I talk to people and they'll say, I hate sales. So when I ask them, when I ask each one why they love sales or why they hate sales, this is typically what I hear. I love sales. Oh, really? What do you love about it? Well, I get to talk to people. I love networking. I love schmoozing. I love the small talk. I like the chit. Okay, great. That's nice, but that's not sales. Other people tell me I hate sales because I don't like the small talk. I don't like networking. I don't like cold calling. So what I explain to people is that sales is not one thing. It's a process. And there are three aspects to that. One is prospecting. If you think about it, I need to know how to prospect, where to prospect, what to say, how to say it, when to say it, to whom to say it, and how to say it in many, many different ways. So prospecting requires discipline. How many times a week do I network? For instance, I don't know how many of you network. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But how many times a week do you network? How many times a month do you network? Where do you network? Do you go to a BNI? Do you go to a Chamber of Commerce? Do you only network in New Jersey? Do you network in New York? Right. So prospecting takes a lot. Oh, I do cold calling. Great. Who do you cold call? And when you say cold calling, how do you do it? What's a cold call versus a warm call? Do you make warm calls? Do you pick up the phone and call people on LinkedIn? So prospecting takes a lot. The other thing too is having a discovery meeting. So great. I talk to someone. I entice them to have a further conversation with me. And now it's what I call a discovery meeting. I do not call it a sales meeting. I call it a discovery meeting. If somebody calls up and say, hey, Dan, I heard about StrixMedia. I heard you guys do videos. I'm in. I need something. What can you do? How much do you charge? Well, what Dan needs to do, right, is bring people in, whether it's a Zoom call or in person, and bring them in for a discovery meeting. Why do I call it a discovery meeting as opposed to a sales meeting? First off, it's not a sales meeting because I'm not there to sell anything. Whenever I have a meeting with someone, I'm never there to sell. I am there to discover. What am I looking to discover? I'm looking to discover whether or not this individual, this company is qualified or not for me to do business with. So full stop. I need to discover whether they are qualified. I need to qualify them. It's not just them qualifying me. It's not them coming here to find out what my pricing is. No, I want to discover what their needs are. Why are they here? Why is it important to them? And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the other things that I need to discover. By the same token, they need to discover whether or not they want to do business with me or not. I want to discover what their needs are and whether I can fulfill them. They need to discover what it is that I do and how I do it, and whether we're a fit or not. And guess what? There are a few outcomes. Outcome number one is I sit down, Harry Jones, have a discovery meeting, and I say, you know what? We're not a fit. Either I decide we're not a fit, he decides, so it's a no. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. I would rather someone say to me, we're not a fit. No, I don't want to go with you. You're too expensive. No, I don't like you. I don't like people with mustaches. Okay. If someone is going to say no to me, I'd rather they say no to me today than 6 months from now. I don't think there's anyone, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's anyone on this call tonight that likes to chase people, 2 or 3 or 4 months. So I could be wrong, but I don't think so, right? So if they say no, I'm okay with that. They could also say yes, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. Then the third part is client retention and organic growth. Remember what I said about working smart, not hard? I want to be able to grow my business to the point where I don't have to prospect as much because I'm growing my company organically. What I mean by that is I'm getting referrals. I'm doing a good job of upselling and cross-selling. I get a lot of repeat business. So I am not transactional. And again, I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. So one of the first things that I tell people as far as networking is, I want you to stop and think about this past year, with the pandemic and COVID. Your behaviors, to a great extent, give you the results that you have, that you realize. So right now, if, for instance, I've been careful, I've been cautious, and I've been isolated, chances are I'm not going to catch the virus. If I'm out there partying, well, guess what? There's a higher probability that I am going to catch it. So the point here is that your behaviors are what are going to give you your results. So again, networking. Where do I network? How often do I network? How much time do I spend? How much money do I spend networking? Some of you might say, well, I don't network. I never have. I never will. Okay. Up to you. What about bold calls? I don't like calling them cold calls. I like calling bold calls and easy calls. So bold calls is, I'm going to call someone that I've never spoken to before. I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to isolate one CEO in one big company, and I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call that individual. Why? Because that's the type of company that I want to work with. And you might say, well, Frank, what if he hangs up? Okay. I'll call the next guy. Oh, what if he hangs up? Okay. I'll call the next guy. Right. So whether it's a bold call or an easy call, that's part of my prospecting activities. Now, I'm not saying to all of you, you should be doing this. Okay. This is unique to each and every one of you. Each and every one of you has to know the best way for you to prospect. And one of the ways that you do that is by keeping track of what you do. So what I always tell people is first we start with your goals. Remember what I said a few slides ago. First, you start with your goals. What is it that you want to accomplish? You might say, well, Frank, what I want to do is I want to make $120,000 this year. Okay. Okay, great. Well, what does that mean? $120,000 a year. Well, it means that for me, looking at the math, you have to make $10,000 a year. And if you sell a widget for $10,000, well, you have to make one sale a month. If your widgets are $5,000, well, you have to make 2 sales. If it's $2,500, it's 4 sales. Now I need to do the math. For me to sell one prospect, one client, how many people do I need to meet for me to sell that one? So now I'm really getting into the weeds, and I'm saying I need to have X number of discovery meetings per week for me to achieve my goals. So again, it takes looking at the math. LinkedIn, social media, what do I do there? Referrals. It boggles my mind how many people do not ask for referrals. And most people leave a lot of money on the table because they don't ask their own clients for referrals. And there is a process for asking people for referrals. Anyone wants to know? We can talk about that a little bit later on. The other thing is upselling and cross-selling. All too often, people think transactionally. Someone comes to me and says, I want whatever, a photograph. I want a video. I want this. I want a logo. Okay, great. What else? What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? Why do you need this? By when do you need it? What else are you going to need? What else? Where are you going to use this logo? Where are you going to use this video? Right? I mean, for me, it's automatic for me to say, well, if you come to me for a video, one of the first questions is, well, where do you want to use it? Why do you want to use it? Why is it important? How long? Okay, you tell me it's a minute long. Great. So you want just a minute, but wait, a minute, we can chop that down into 2 pieces. We can chop that down into 4 videos. I can take a photograph and I can use it in many different ways. I can create a logo and then put different spins on it so that you have different types of logos that you would use in different places. So all too often, we don't do a good enough job of upselling and cross-selling, right? Of analyzing, of diagnosing. The other big thing is to learn one thing. Whenever you're in a discovery meeting, realize one of the most important things. It's not about you. It's about their baby. They don't care about you, your numbers, your video, your photography. They don't care about that. They care about their business and their baby. That's it. And the quicker we realize it, the quicker we understand, then the quicker we know that what we need to do is understand their baby and ask them about their baby. As I like to tell everybody that you talk to in a discovery meeting is listening to one radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? And we need to be able to synchronize ourselves to what their needs are regarding their baby. The next thing is, I'm going to give you a structure. I'm going to tell you everything. You're not going to know how to deploy this. I'm going to show you how to kick, how to punch, and how to block right now. And I'm confident that you're not going to know how to do this because it takes time to learn these skills. So one of the first things that I'm going to do in an agenda, in a discovery meeting, is set the agenda. I'm going to go in, I'm going to say, hey, so Dan, great, we're going to sit down for an hour. I want to learn all about your business. Yep. You're going to learn all about me. I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. Sound good? Great, wonderful. Then I want to get to know what their goals and angst are. You want a video? Great. Why do you want a video? Where are you going to use it? Why is that important? By when do you need it? What happens if you don't achieve that goal? What happens if you don't get that logo? And I want you to stop and think about this. Somebody comes to you for a logo. Why do they want a logo? Where do they need it? Well, I need to build a new website. Oh, okay. So you need a new logo for a website? Yeah, I need a new logo because I'm going to spend a lot of money on my website. And if I don't have a brand new logo, it's not going to look as good. Okay, great. So that's what's keeping them up at night. Anyone that builds websites, right, they want to ask these key questions too. You want a website? Great. Why is that important? Hey, my website is old. I haven't paid attention to it. Okay, great. So let me ask you, what are you going to do once you build a website? Well, what do you mean? Once I build the website, it's up there. Everybody sees it. That's it. I'm done. Well, not really. What are you going to do about SEO? Right? How are you going to bring people to that website? So I need to understand these things. I need to be able to talk about money. I need to be able to look someone in the eye and say, okay, great. So I understand what you need. I understand what's keeping you up at night. What have you budgeted for this project? And I need to be able to do that without stuttering, without looking down, without feeling embarrassed. I need to be able to deploy certain tactics to be able to not only ask that question, but when they dodge it, when they say, well, I don't feel comfortable telling you, or when you ask them about their budget and they say, well, I haven't even thought about that yet. We're not there yet. I haven't even thought about that. Okay. Do you really think that someone's going to come to you looking for something without having thought about how much they're going to spend for it? And I'll give you one better. If something is important enough for you to achieve, to buy, if it's important enough, you all know, and I know, that you will spend the money. If you're in enough pain, you're going to spend the money. Case in point, 2 weeks ago, I had a molar, a pain in a molar for 3 days. Okay, I knew it was bad because I wasn't sleeping, and it was bad. I mean, it kept me up 3 nights in a row, and it was severe pain. If anyone's ever had that experience, you know what I'm talking about. I was in severe pain. And guess what? When I went to the dentist, first off, I called. I said, can he see me tomorrow? I need to see him tomorrow. I walked in, sat down. Do you think for a second that I said to the dentist, okay, listen, doc, this is bad, it hurts, but before you do anything, how much are you going to charge me? Because I want to get a few quotes. I want to go to a few dentists and get some prices from other dentists. Do you think I did that? Do you think any one of you is going to do that? Or do you think in most probability, you'll do what I did? I got there, doc, it hurts, fix it. I don't even want to know. I don't even care what it says. Fix it. I'm in pain. So this is something that we need to be able to talk about. I also need to know how they make a decision. So how do you guys go about making a decision? When are you going to make a decision? Who are you going to get involved in this decision-making process? A lot of my clients, before they buy something, they'll consult with me. And guess what? The other vendor doesn't even know. So I need to know how these people are going to make a decision. All right. And then I need to know how to deliver the diagnosis. In other words, now I know what they want. I know what they need. I know what they want to spend. I know how they're going to go about making their decision. But I need to be able to present it in the right way. I'll give you a quick anecdotal story. Many, many years ago, I was sitting with a lady who owned a big chemical company. And to make a very long story short, she explained to me the reason that I was there. She explained to me that she had lost, and listen to these numbers, she had lost 17 million in sales that year, or rather the prior year, and about 6 to 7 the year before, and another 6 to 7 the year before that. Millions, okay? So for 3 years in a row, sales were down by that much. And I was there in the middle of that particular year, and they were on their way to losing about the same amount. So I want you to understand, just picture this. I'm sitting there with a company, a top CEO, big company, we're talking millions of dollars. Now, once I knew that, I asked her the simple question. So great, I understand what you need. I understand the training that you need. What have you budgeted for this project? Oh, I don't know. And we danced around for a little bit. So again, without giving away too much, I said to her, well, for doing something like this and training 35 folks, you're going to come in at about 60 grand. And guess what she said? What? That's too much money. How come it's so much? And all I had to do was do the math. So, well, wait a second. Let me make sure I understand something. You lost 7, 6, and 6. Add that all up, we're in the millions. So you don't think you want to spend a few $1,000s to fix a multi-million-dollar problem? And then the next question I asked her was, okay, well, let me ask you, you don't have that budgeted, so where can you steal that money? To which she answered, she looked up at the ceiling, she said, well, let me see, you know what, we could do this, we could do, you know what, I can steal it from marketing. So my point there is, she knew she needed this badly enough, and she found the money. And what, unfortunately, a lot of creatives don't realize is that there is money out there. I'm going to give you all a piece of advice. Right now, all of those companies that did not spend money last year on videos, on photographs, on whatever projects, they didn't spend the money last year. Guess what? There's a lot of pent-up need out there right now. If you're smart, what you're going to do is find ways to get your money out of their pockets, because the money is there. I guarantee you that. And then the last thing is for me to get a commitment. Yes, I said to you in a discovery meeting, I can get a no, we're not going to do business. Or I can get someone that says, hey, yeah, Dan, sounds good. Oh, you guys, yeah, you rock. Yeah, I like you. I'm going to call you next week. You know what? We're going to do this after Memorial Day. We're going to do this after Labor Day. I like you. We're going to do this. That to me is not a yes. That to me is someone putting me off, making me feel good by feeding my ego. What I'm looking for is a commitment yes. What I'm looking for is someone to look at me and say, you know what? I have to do this. What do I have to do? What do we need to do to get this started? What do I have to sign something? You give me an invoice, a contract. What do we do? That's what I want, a commitment yes. And again, there's a lot more to that. The next thing, I'm just going to show you this. This will blow your mind. Whenever I'm looking at someone, especially a discovery meeting, this is my mantra. I always say to myself, well, as I'm looking at the person, this is constantly, this mantra is going through my head. What do you know that I don't know that I wouldn't know if I didn't ask you? And what that means is, if I don't ask you, I'm never going to know. You're never going to tell me because you don't necessarily know what I need to know. So if I don't ask you the right questions, I'm never going to know what I need to know. And guess what? Questioning techniques is strategic, it's process driven, it's tactical, and it involves a whole lot of psychology. I teach some of these questioning techniques. Some of these questions I ask in such a way that will give me the opportunity to see what the truth looks like on someone's face, so that a little bit later on during the discovery process, when they lie to me, and they will, when they lie to me, I have a pretty good guess as to when they're lying to me. So that's one of the questions that's embedded in here. I'm going to ask them what comes out to be a non-pertinent question. I'm going to ask them something very specifically that will show me whether they're telling me the truth or not. The next thing is to develop a client for life. So how do I ask for referrals? How do I give referrals? There's a process to that. And one of the things that I need to understand is how I can condition people to give me referrals. You want to get to the point where you're getting a referral a week, every couple of weeks. And if you stop and think about it, if someone gives you a referral, just do the math. If you're not asking for referrals, just do the math. If you sell a widget for $5,000, for $10,000, just do the math. If you had 4 discovery meetings this past month and 6 other types of meetings this past month, then those are 10 opportunities that you had to get a referral. If you didn't ask for a referral, and do the math, if you didn't ask for a referral, of those 10 separate people, then you blew the opportunity to potentially sell 1 or 2 referrals. And if you sell a widget for $10,000 or $5,000, whatever it is, then that's the money that you left on the table. And again, there's a process to that. Also, upselling and cross-selling. And you all know what upselling and cross-selling is. Somebody comes to you, I want a burger. Great. You want fries with that? All right. That's upselling. Cross-selling is burger. Okay, great. You know what? For another $1, you get a shake and fries and a cookie for $1 more. Right. So again, to be able to do that. Right. And the only way that I learn how to do that is by understanding that conditioning through customer service is going to get me there. And that's the way I get away from being transactional. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with this thought before we open it up for questioning. I'm a firm believer in this quote, that the outcome of most battles is determined before they even begin. You know, we determine what's going to happen. We're the ones, it's in our control. But it basically comes down to our behaviors, what we do, when we prospect, how we prospect, what we say when we get there. Okay, so it's time for Q&A. And if anyone wants to contact me, I'll just leave that up for a second, and then we'll stop the share. And what I'd like is anyone that has any questions, anything specifically that you want me to talk about, that you want to ask about, just shoot. So open up your mics and I'll stop the share.
Thank you, Frank. That was awesome.
My pleasure. Questions? Well, let me see. No one's asleep that I can tell. So that's a good sign. Oh, Nish, you joined us. Questions? Come on.
I have a question. How do you help your clients to address imposter syndrome?
You want to know something that is so common that it hurts me. It hurts me. And listen, it happens. So one of the first things I tell people is, it's not just you. So first off, cut yourself some slack. It's not you. Okay, guess what? We all go through it. You know, when I think back, when I first started in technology many, many years ago, that's what I felt. You know, I'm in technology. I'm a young kid in my 20s. I don't know enough. I don't know enough. I'm not worthy enough. Okay, so full stop, full stop. That's something that you have to outgrow. And the way you do it is, you've probably heard the expression, fake it till you make it. Well, let me put a different spin on that. I don't mind faking it till I make it as long as I'm disciplined enough to teach myself to learn, right? So I have a client who recently told me exactly the same thing. I'm not worthy. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even be doing this. And what I said, all right, fine, let's do a little SWOT. Let's do a little SWOT analysis. Let's take a look at your strengths. Okay, and I don't know if anyone has ever done a SWOT, right? But let's do a SWOT. What are your strengths? Let's see what do you bring to the table? Okay, well, what are your weaknesses? And we analyze that. And let me ask you, what threats are there out there in your particular business? Okay, great. Now let's talk about opportunities. And if you notice, I didn't go SWOT. I said strengths, weaknesses, threats. Now that tells me what opportunities I have out there. And guess what? Every one of us is specializing in whatever it is we do, and we're just going to get better. The name of my company, I didn't say, the name of my company is Coaching WIP. Now that's not WHIP, it's WIP, as in work in progress. So even though I've been doing this for over 30, it's more than 30, but I'll leave it at 30. Right? I've been doing this a long time. I never consider myself a finished product. I'm always learning. And let me give you something else to think about. When I started in technology, I had to learn certain operating systems and certain platforms. Well, guess what? I spent 30 years in technology, and it was constantly learning new languages, right? New operating systems, new platforms. I mean, it's technology, right? So just imagine over the last 30 years learning that. Well, guess what? Each and every one of you. One of my sons is a videographer, is an editor, and he's had to learn over the last few years, right, different platforms. So does it ever end? No. And you're accumulating that knowledge as you go. The other thing that you have to give yourself credit for is the experience that you're going to accumulate, right? The wisdom that you're going to accumulate over time. Okay. And listen, the last thing I'll say about that is, I hear from a lot of people, I'm too young, listen, some of it I can relate to, I can't do this, or, I can't do this, I'm a woman. I can't do this, I'm Hispanic. I can't do this, I'm Black. I can't do this, I mean, think of everything that's going on right now today. Okay, the world that we're living in. Guess what? I was dealing with that 30 years ago. Okay, so well, I was dealing with it my whole life, but the point is, no, you're not an imposter. And by the way, let me give you one other little piece of information that I think you'll enjoy. I've worked with close to 600 companies now counted, and all of those companies had CXOs, top CEOs. So I've worked with a lot of huge companies. biotech companies, a lot of smart people, okay, a lot of top executives. Let me let you in on a little secret. They all feel the same way. Every single one of them that I've dealt with, and when they hide in their little office, they feel the same way. So you just worry about getting good and getting better. That's it.
I have a question, Frank.
Sure.
So you asked, you mentioned asking for referrals, and one would assume that would obviously come at the end of the sales process or completion of the project, right? So when would you suggest asking, and how would you format that?
I love this stuff.
Yeah, and then is there any other tactics that are similar to that that you would use to squeeze squeeze some more connections or dollars out of either that person or people that they know? Is there any other tactic?
Okay. Are you a hot rock and roller? Are you tough dude, Dan?
Yeah, I'll take some hard no's.
Okay. I mean, you're gonna role play with me, all right? I'm gonna teach
I'm
everyone.
terrible at this. I'm terrible at role playing.
Okay, that BS.
Zach will do it.
Zach. All right.
He's an actor.
You know what? Forget Margina.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that correctly, Margina?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna role play. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So look. So guys, write all this down. Okay. So the whole referrals process is a lot easier than you think it is. So let me set it up first. When do I do it? So if I've just finished my discovery meeting and Margina has said, okay, great, Frank, I'm excited. We're going to work together. Wonderful. What do I need to do? Great. I'm going to send you a contract. You're going to do this. Okay, great. Now, Margina, one of the first things that we're going to do to get your project started, and everybody take notes, to get your project started, what we're going to do is we're going to have a kickoff meeting. All right, so let's schedule a kickoff meeting. And when can we do that? Next Wednesday? Great, wonderful. So now we set a time, it's going to be an hour, and we're going to do a kickoff meeting. Now, what do I do at that kickoff meeting? And by the way, I could spend 2 hours on this kickoff meeting, so I'm just going to go real quick. So I'm going to say, all right, Margina, we get this. So, okay, Margina, so here's what you described. Here are your goals. Here's what's keeping you up at night. Here are your expectations. Here are your limitations. Here's when you need to do this. Here's what's important. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go through a full hour of that. Okay. And I'm going to explain everything. And then at the end, I'm going to say, Margina, did I forget anything? Is there anything that we didn't cover? Okay. I've explained to her payment process, when invoices send out, how she's going to pay me, when she's going to pay. I'm explaining everything. Okay. We got that out of the way. All right. Now, Margina, role play. All right. I've just done that. And then I'm going to say to Margina the following. Hey, listen, Margina, not now, definitely not now, but would it be okay with you if, maybe 2 or 3 months down the line, after we've been working together for the last 2 or 3 months, I've delivered, everything that you've needed, everything that you've wanted. We've been working together. We understand each other. 2 or 3 months from now, if you're happy, would it be okay if you and I sat down for, maybe 15, 20 minutes to talk about maybe who you might know that, I don't know, could help, could use the help that I provide? Maybe you have friends, you probably have neighbors, maybe family, right? You probably know someone. Would it be okay if 2 or 3 months from now we had that conversation?
Okay.
Role play. All right. So first off, did you feel any pressure?
No.
Did I ask you for a referral?
No.
Nope. So I didn't ask for a referral. She didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel any pressure. Okay, fast forward. Let's get into our time machine. Fast forward 2, 3 months. I pick up the phone. Hey, Margina, how you doing? In role play. Hey, Margina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Great. Good. So listen, I've been calling you every week, right, during the past 3 months, talking about the project. We've been getting you here, getting you there. We've met all the milestones, your expectations. So again, one thing that I've made sure that I've done up until this point is good customer service. So if she's happy, and I know that she's happy, and we've got a good relationship, then I'm going to say the following. Hey, Margina, remember 2 or 3 months ago when I asked you, that you might have some friends that might be able to use what I do? Would now be a good time to talk about it?
Sure.
Great, wonderful. All right. Yeah, did you feel any pressure?
No.
Now, did I ask you for a referral? I didn't ask you. I didn't ask you then. I didn't ask you now.
No.
Okay. Now, listen to this very closely and write this down. That's easy. That's the easy part. Because first off, she didn't feel pressure. I didn't feel pressure. I didn't even ask her for a referral. I told her initially I was going to ask. And then I reminded her that I was going to ask, but I didn't ask. All right. Now, this is where everybody messes up. First off, they mess up because they don't do that. But the second thing is this. Now I sit down with Margina and I say, so Margina, who do you know? Wrong. Because Margina, right? Margina is she's going to decide who she's going to introduce to me based on what her situation is. Okay, so now I need to spell it out for her. So I need to say, so listen, Margina, you know me from this relationship, but let me tell you a little bit more about a good referral for me. Is that okay? Great.
Okay.
Great, wonderful. So look, first thing you need to know is that I am industry agnostic. I work with all types of different industries, whether it's manufacturing, wholesale distribution, real estate, insurance. So I go through the list of all the types of companies that I work with, all the industries that I work with. Margina, something you may not know is I'm not just here in New Jersey. I've got clients in New York. I've got clients up in Toronto. I've got clients on the West Coast. So, if I can teach them virtually, I can work with anyone. The other thing you may not know is that I don't just work with solopreneurs. I work with a lot of large companies. So sometimes a company will come to me and it's one individual like you. Sometimes it's a company that has 20 or 30 different salespeople and sales managers that need to be trained. And Margina, let me tell you some of the challenges that they have. Sometimes they tell me that the sales are down the drain. The sales suck. They don't have processes. They're discounting all the time to close deals, right? So if you notice, what I'm doing is I'm describing to Margina the exact type of referral that I need. And then I'm going to say, so listen, Margina, so just so that you know, between you and me, I need to meet the veto in the company, the very important top officer. I need to meet the CXO. I need to meet the CEO, the president, the VP of sales. So you may know someone that's, maybe the librarian down there or the clerk. No, I need to meet, the decision maker, right? So I'm guiding her. I'm telling her, I'm explaining to her. Make sense?
Oh, completely.
Right?
And you're doing it when they're excited and happy about your services. You're not waiting until the job is done when they don't need you anymore.
No, and the other thing too is, and I've got some clients on this call, they'll tell you, don't take it from me. What I do is I underpromise and overdeliver. I spoil my clients rotten. So I don't even ask, honestly, I'm at a point where I don't even ask for referrals. Every now and then in my inbox is a referral. So which makes me feel good, because if I'm spoiling my people rotten, then they're going to want to give me a referral. All right. So it should be an easy process. Other questions? Come on.
Awesome. Thanks, Frank.
All right. Who else?
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Gus. Sorry.
Thanks. My name is Gus Baxter. I am a coach and intuitive advisor here in Bergen County, New Jersey. I work with creative professionals to help them find their most authentic selves and create a more holistic and balanced life. All of this is fantastic. This is an incredibly educational hour. It's now March 2021. We're almost into April. 3 months are in. If we were to take one thing from this and say, okay, what's the very first thing I can take from this hour
Yeah.
and apply to my business tomorrow morning?
Mhm.
What's the very first thing we can do?
Okay. So that's a great question. And if I were to get, first off, to be clear, this is a discipline that encompasses a lot of different processes, right? A lot of different strategies, a lot of different tactics. Okay, so that's why I say I can't teach it in an hour. And I do boot camps for some companies where it's a full day boot camp or a 2-day boot. I can't even teach everything in 1 day or 2 days or three days. That's why, my model is I work with people on an ongoing basis, like a chiropractor. I turn them into a pretzel, fix them up. Over time, they decide how much pain they want. And then when they've had enough, they say, okay, I'm fixed, right? So that said, if you were to take away anything from today, it would be this. You always want to ask questions. All right. So be inquisitive, be that little kid in a toy store. Be that little kid that's wondrous that, wow, look at this. And I'm going to give you an example. I worked with a lot of manufacturing companies, and listen closely to this, because it's an anecdotal story that kind of drives the point across. I worked with a lot of manufacturers. And sometimes I'd walk into a manufacturing company and, I'd go meet the person that I'm going to meet. And then I'd say, hey, wow, this place is cool. Look at all these machines you have out there. Hey, you wouldn't mind giving me a tour, would you? It could be the 25-cent tour. I don't mind. Just walk me around. Every time I've asked that question, everyone has said, sure, absolutely. With great pride, they'll walk me out. So what do? Listen closely. So I'll walk out, they'll bring me out here. And, oh, geez, what does that machine do? That machine is huge. What does that do? They'll tell me what it is. Geez, and is that the only one you have? Oh, no, we have 3 of those. Geez, looks expensive. How much do you spend, for something like that? Oh, $250,000 each one. Okay. Now I'm asking questions about how much is that copy or how much is this? The lady that I tell you about in the owner of the chemical company, I was looking out of her office and she had just bought 21 trucks, brand new, no signage on them at all, brand new 21 trucks. I asked her, so, geez, these are all brand new. Who bought these? I did. I did, really? So what do you know about trucks? I don't know anything about cars or trucks. What do you know? I know everything about trucks, she tells me. And I said, so how did you even go about making a decision to buy those trucks? And she explained to me her process. Full stop. If you stop and think about what I did by asking questions, here's what I got and what I get from those conversations. They told me what their money concept is. She told me 25, 30 grand each truck. Do the math. $250,000 machine, 3 of them. How much is that? That's a lot of money. How do you go about making a decision? I make the decision. Oh, okay. By yourself? Yeah, me. So by me questioning them, and again, I want you to think about it. I'm asking them what their goals are, what they want to accomplish. I'm asking them what's keeping them up at night. I'm asking them what their money concept is, so that when it comes time for me to say, hey guys, so what have you budgeted for this project? And they tell me, well, they hem and haw. Okay, I already know what it's going to be, right? We all know what we need to charge for any project. We're not thieves. We just have to get the money that is due us, right, for us to be able to complete a project. So if we know what their money concept is, by the same token, if somebody tells me I want to learn everything about sales and all I have is $500, teach me, guess what? I'll say, hey, great, listen, take the $500. I'll give you a list of books. Go read them. Good luck. Because you're going to learn martial arts from a book. Right? So if you're walking away with one thing, is that ask questions.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Zach, you had a question.
I did. Okay. So this is actually kind of funny because it ties into basically what you just said. So during the discovery meeting, you ask, what have you budgeted for this project? And sometimes you'll get a bunch of like misdirection. I don't know, I don't feel comfortable asking that question or answering that question. If you pry and they don't get to, an answer, is there a time where you would send a proposal without ever having talked about price at all?
And then a quick thing that I've noticed that customers' rebuttals will be is, well, I've never done this before, so why would I know what it costs? Just that kind of.
Right. Okay. So look, one of the first things, I'm going to give you some hard news. Okay. And one of the things that one of the hardest realizations you're going to have to make is this. First off, you're talking to suspects. You're not talking to prospects. You're not talking to clients. Okay. You're talking to a suspect. All right. So every suspect is going to lie to you. All right. Full stop. Every suspect is going to lie to you. All right. How much are you going to buy? Oh, I don't know. We haven't thought about it yet. Come on.
Lies.
Right? They'll lie to you. To your face, they'll lie to you. Right? And that's why I say questioning techniques are so important, because I got to tell you, when somebody lies to me, I am laughing inside, because when someone's lying to me, I'm laughing inside because what I'm doing on the outside is controlling my face, my facial expressions and body language, and I'm keeping myself from saying, "You are so full of it." I know you're lying to me, and the only decision I have to make is, am I going to call them out now, or am I going to call them out later? Okay, so I can give you tactic after tactic. Oh, we don't know. We haven't thought about it. Okay, fine. So let me give you a tactic, right? So let's role play. All right. So Zach, what have you budgeted for this project?
I don't know. I've never tried to, budget in this industry before.
Right? Yeah, it's hard. I get it. So let me ask you this. I've had a few clients that have wanted to, you're laughing already.
I'm excited for the answer.
Should I tell him? Let's take a vote. Yeah. So look, Zach, let me ask you this. I've had a few clients in the past few months that have wanted to accomplish pretty much the same thing, kind of, in the same arena, some of the same things that you want to be able to accomplish, and have had some of the same challenges. And in their case, it's been a range of anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000, in that range, right? Is that about the ballpark that you're thinking about?
That sounds expensive. That's kind of over what I was expecting.
Okay, all right. Well, let me ask you this. For what you want to accomplish, unless we pare down, unless we cut out a whole bunch of stuff, it's going to be somewhere between $7,000 and $12,000. Should we stop talking now?
Ooh, okay. All right.
My Jesus is having fun over there. Now, see but I did something there that you didn't even see. Okay, because when I teach questioning techniques, there's a certain way that I deliver it. And then one of the things that I do, I'm not even going to tell you, that I do something where you're always going to give me an answer. You're always going to give me a response. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Okay. Now, so again, in role, so let's look at other things that you might have said. You might have said, okay, well, between 7,000 and 12,000. Yeah, it's in that ballpark, right? So, okay, great. Is it closer to 7 or closer to 12? Right?
I would say, yeah, I think it's closer to 7.
Okay, all right, good. Now, full stop, out of role play. Understand that what's important for me is to find out what your money concept is and to find out if you've got the money. Because, Zach, if you had said, oh man, no, 7, oh geez, I was thinking like $500. Okay, so,
That's
right, so go ahead, role play and tell me. I don't know, I was thinking more like $500.
I don't know. I was thinking more like 500. That's way over.
For video? But wait, for a professional video? I mean, you didn't want me to shoot this with my iPhone, did you? I mean, you
Ooh.
want,
I have a bag of potatoes that I've been waiting to break out.
so one of the things I teach
So
my
good.
clients is, but here's the thing. One of the things I teach my clients is if you feel it, say it in a nurturing way and have fun with it. Okay, you got to have the guts and you have the, I use a lot of humor. Okay, and I'm going to stick to my guns because again, if I'm not going to have an honest relationship with you, a long-term honest relationship with you, if I'm not going to get that from the get-go, then I'm never going to have it. Okay, and if I'm going to let you climb on top of me, get on my shoulders and dance me around, I'm never going to get you off my back. We're talking, I'm talking to a professional on an equal level. Okay, I'm not a vendor. I'm not going to be treated like a vendor. So I'm going to say, really, for a video, I mean, I thought you wanted something professional. I mean, we have to edit it, and we have to. I mean, I pay some of my folks $500. Employees. I mean, you don't really think. I mean, did you want something professional or? Right, so I'm going to pursue it, and again, how I say it, whether it's in a funny way or my clients say sometimes what I'll do is and do it again. So Zach, it's going to be anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000.
Ooh, man, I was thinking more like 350. Like that's 7,000. Jesus Christ.
350 what?
Potatoes.
$350.
$350? Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Wait a minute. Am I missing something? $350? Right. So there are a lot of other tactics that I'm going to deploy. I'm going to take my glasses off. There's going to be body language. I'm going to raise an eyebrow. I mean, some of my clients will tell you, you got to have fun doing this, but you need to know the strategies and the tactics, right? So that you can deploy it the right way. Okay. Without coming off like a wise guy. Okay.
Right.
I'm overplaying it here. But when I'm in the thick of things, and especially if I'm dealing with some hotshot CXOs, 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and they're trying to browbeat me, right? Because they're CXOs of big conglomerates. I'm this little guy. Well, I'm sorry, but I ain't that easy. All right, hit me. Who else?
All right, I got a question. Just thinking about it. So you talked about becoming a trusted advisor, which I totally agree with, and becoming, non-transactional, but building clients for life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, at what point do you kind of turn that into a service rather than a free type of thing, right? Like I've worked with clients where, I do video content for them, but they're constantly asking me for advice and support and stuff like that. So at what point do you kind of turn that into an additional service rather than offering it for free?
Why I'm laughing? Because I get that question so often, and that's one of the things I help my clients with. My short answer is, you start that right from the get-go, right? You start that from day one, right? The mistake.
Brain picking.
What's that?
Brain picking.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. What they're looking for free consulting. That's what we call free consulting.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And listen, what happens? And like I said, I've heard this before. I've got a couple of clients that are graphic designers, a couple that are web developers, and I'll just take those two as an example. And by the way, I dealt with that in technology. And the deal is this: they signed the contract, right? And you get into the thick of things, and then they'll come over your shoulders. Hey, listen, Margina, can you just do a little bit of this? And listen, as long as you're doing that, can you tweak this and can you tweak that? Right. And it's almost like, oh, we're friends now. You could just do this. And listen, it's only going to take you 5-10 minutes, right? That's not a big deal. Can you just throw that in there? Okay. So what I explain to my clients is that the mistake you've made already, the mistake you've made is at the kickoff. So, all right, you guys are lucky because I'm going to give you another big one today. All right, write this down. At the Mary Jo will tell you. I should let Mary Jo tell you this story. What do you do at a kickoff meeting, Mary Jo? Right? What's one of the things that you want to tell them in the kickoff meeting?
That you need a deposit?
Well, of course, you always need a deposit. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But what I'm going to say is this. I'm going to say, so Mary Jo, okay, great. Here, kickoff meeting. Here are your expectations. Here's what you want. Here's what you need. Here are the milestones. Here are the expectations. Here are the limitations. Write this down. This is the big thing. So guys, I'm happy to build your website. I'm happy to do this video and so on. Let me tell you what's going to happen somewhere down the line. Somewhere down the line, you've described this. You've said, we're going to do this, and this is what we're going to do. And here's the pricing. Here's everything that we're going to do. Here's everything that's included. But let me tell you what's going to happen. As we get into the thick of things, as we start developing the website, as we start doing the video, you're going to get ideas. You're going to get pumped. You're going to get psyched. You're going to have an aha moment. You're going to say, hey, Frank, can you throw this in? Can you do this? When that happens, here's what we're going to do. Whenever you have an idea, call me, ask me. I will give you a work order with a quote. I'll tell you exactly what needs to be done, how it needs to be done. As soon as you approve that work order, we'll start it. You pay, you're done. So now what happens is you're not paying for free consulting. Okay. So that's it. It's literally that simple. But again, you got to do this in the kickoff meeting. Okay. And the hidden message there is, I'll ask this question. When is the best time to defuse a time bomb?
Before it goes off.
Before it goes off, right?
Knew that one.
Right? So that's going to happen. It used to happen to me in technology. I'd be sitting there programming something. Hey, Frank, the report would look so much better if you did this or that. Hey, could you just throw this? Hey, we need another database. Oh, and you're sitting there, Mr. Nice Guy, because you want people to like you. Don't care about who likes you. You got to like yourself. Next, come on. I need another victim. Really? You know it all already?
I have another
Wow.
question for you.
So,
How do you deal with people that don't really understand what you do, and so they therefore devalue your services?
yeah. And that happens, right? That happens, web development, some of my web development clients, it's the funniest thing. This website thingy thing that you do, I see on TV Wix, it's a do it yourself. I have a neighbor that has a niece who's 14. She's a computer whiz. She knows how to do all this stuff. Why should I pay you $20,000 for a website when, my neighbor's, niece will do it for, I'll pay her. She does my babysitting. I'll pay her $200. Right? She's a whiz. These kids nowadays. Right? And it's not just that, right? It's not just that. I mean, listen, all of you, right? Videography. Steve and I have talked about the, photographs. Oh, I'll just do it on my iPhone. That's good enough. Who needs a stinking Nikon, or what do I have to pay you? Headshot? I got a wall over here. I'll tell you, I'll do a selfie. So I get that. I understand. And again, fall back on questioning techniques, right? So it's to fall back on questioning techniques. For me to say, hey, Margina, let me ask you something. I get it. You're telling me that you think this is expensive, right? I didn't say this is expensive. I said, you're telling me that this is expensive, right? So I get that. I don't hear that a lot, but yeah, every now and then someone will say that. But let me ask you something. Why do you think all of my clients have no problem paying me for the professional work that I deliver. Why do you suppose that is? Role play with me.
I was more looking for a response from the people that don't respond to you. So how do you approach them initially? Because we live in a world where people just ghost you, literally, if they
Okay.
don't like what you're saying.
Okay, so look, first off,
Go for the no.
learn, yeah, so look, first off, yeah, so first off, I learned early in life
Mhm,
that you don't have it until it's there in your hand, okay? So
mhm,
forget chasing deals. It's not a deal until that check has cleared the bank.
mhm,
Okay, so
Mhm.
first off, don't become attached, don't allow yourself to get attached, to a deal. I've been in situations where it's a huge company, and right away in your mind, oh, huge company, big name. Oh, that's going to look good on my resume. It's going to look good on my website. I want these guys. No. Okay, what do they want? What do they need first? And are they willing to pay me what I'm worth?
mhm.
Okay, and then I'm going to go through my process. I'm going to ask them all the questions that I need to do, and then I'll give them my pricing. You might be describing someone that comes to you and says, okay, look, what do you got? How much do you charge? Before telling anything else. Yeah, well, what do
Yep.
you charge? No, I
Yep.
don't want to know this. I
And
don't
they,
want to know
and they
that.
won't give you any information.
Yeah, just tell me. Just tell me. I don't want to. I don't have time. Just tell me what the price is.
Yep.
Okay. So here's my answer. All right, role play with me. So
Okay.
all right. So my answer is this. Hey, Margina, listen. I appreciate what you're asking me. I really appreciate it, and I understand it. But here's the thing. It would be total blatant malpractice for me to give you a price without even diagnosing what it is that you need. I don't even know what you need. I don't know what it entails. I do a lot of things in a lot of different ways, all based on needs. I don't know what you need. I can't give you a pricing for, I don't know what, it's like you come to me, and if I'm a dentist, I charge one thing for a filling and another for a root canal and another one for an implant. I don't even know. Do you have rotten teeth? I don't know. All right. And I'm going to stand my ground.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I did there that, again, you didn't see is that someone that comes to me like that is a specific personality type. And a specific personality type is they're going to punch me in the nose. They're going to say, I want, what is it? How much? I don't want to know, just no details, just what is it? How much?
I call
And
them box checkers.
Yeah, and they're treating me like a commodity. They're looking at me like a column in their spreadsheet. And
Box checker.
yeah, well, I'm sorry, I don't play that game. Frankie don't play that game. So, so I'm just gonna look at him and say, yeah, listen, honestly, there's no way it would be malpractice of me to give you a price right now without even knowing what's wrong with it, what your goals are, without even diagnosing it. Should we stop talking now? I'm just going to stay there until they give me an answer. And by the way, if they say, okay, sure, goodbye. Okay. There's a philosophy here. Every no I gets me that much closer to a yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So fine. I'm going to listen, I'm going to try to make people give me no's. I'm good with that. Because guess what? When I find the person that says, wow, geez, I want this, I need this, I have to do this. What do we need to do? That's what I want. Because now I want to have a relationship with that person. And regardless of what it is that any of you do, okay? I mean, do you really want to do a video for a company, right? They pay you, you give it to them, you go this way, they go that way, and you never see them again?
Mm-mm.
No, right? I want a relationship. What I want is the partners are sitting there and they're saying, hey, Jack, I think we need another video. Yeah, Henry, I think you're right. I think you're right. Why don't you call those guys, Dan, call Zach, just, right? So in role play, what you want is any one of your clients to be able to say, yeah, don't even question it. Just call Dan, call Zach. What you want is for someone to come to one of your clients and say, hey, it's a pretty cool video. Who did that? Oh, let me tell you, my guy, here are my guys. Tell them I sent you. That's what I want. Right? And if someone's not going to pay you, then no. So that's it. Just to finish that thought, it's if they're not going to be that type of relationship, I don't want them. I'm sorry. I'm all about the relationship. So go ahead.
So one of my tactics, or one of my non-tactics, I guess, is I ask for a budget. Sometimes I'll get a budget out of them. Sometimes I might give them a starting price over the phone, but I tend to either lie and say I don't handle pricing, or I don't have my pricing in front of me, but I will damn well know sure that I do know more or less. It's more of a calculator, so it's kind of hard to estimate after you sit down. So I really avoid that question at all costs. And I say, you know what? Okay, I know exactly what you need. Thank you for answering all my questions. Do you have any questions for me? They say usually no, or they ask me a couple, full closing questions in our discovery meeting, and then I'll send over a final proposal. Is there anything better I might be able to be doing? Because like that question doesn't bother me about price, because I've gotten pretty good about kind of dancing back and forth. Because our proposals are pretty automated in a way. So it only takes me about 15 minutes to do one, maybe even 10 if I'm not negotiating with myself on price. But is there anything in that like thought process, I guess, is like, should be doing or should I not be doing? And is there, that's, I guess.
Okay. So I'm going to say this, and I tell this to all my clients. First off, I'm never in front of a client to tell them how they should or shouldn't do things. My job is to give you better ways of doing things and then letting you decide, right? So I don't believe in throwing the baby out with the bathwater. If you're doing certain things and they're working, fine, keep doing it, right? Okay. Now, that said, if you're dealing that way, for me, honestly, that doesn't work, because for me, that's really, I would use it as pre-qualifying, right? So if someone is, hell bent on getting a price from me, then fine, I'll give them a ballpark, because for me, that's pre-qualifying. That's not qualifying, that's pre-qualifying. Because if I tell someone, like I did with Zach before, if I tell someone, it's going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 grand, and then it's that's no, I was thinking $1,000. I can't do anything for $1,000. Then again, should we stop talking now? And some of you might say, but Frank, you're going to let business, you're just going to let them walk away? They told you they have $1,000, just gonna let them walk away? Yeah.
Mhm.
Hell yeah. And I'll tell you why. I believe in letting my competitors chase after the little deals. And I'll tell you why. My competitors that chase after the little deals, they're going to need more of those little deals to make good money. So they're going to be working twice as hard. Wouldn't you rather work less for more money? Just saying.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
So you can pre-qualify. It's okay to pre-qualify and say, okay, well, look, it's going to be from this to this. Is that what you had in mind? No, but I can't tell you anything until we have a discovery meeting and I get a little bit more of what it is that you need. And maybe you need something simpler, so it could be that less. Maybe you need something more complex, it could be more. Maybe you want to use this video in a multitude of different ways. Maybe you want us to shoot a video and then chop it up into 4, slice it up, do this, right? So again, I want to ask questions. Okay. I do want to stay away from the transactional people. Okay. But again, if something's working for you, more power to you, man.
I've found in the industry we work in production that the transactional people are overtaking the people that actually are willing to give questions. It's become an epidemic.
Yeah.
That's why I asked how you approach the box checkers, because there seems to be more of them than people that actually are willing to.
Yeah, but again, you have to, just like people are shopping for quality. First off, let me tell you something. There's a misconception that a lot of people, and I work, with a lot of my clients with this misconception. And the misconception is that it's all about money. I gotta tell you, it's never about the money. It's not about the money. And let me tell you something else. Again, in role play. So, Margina, give me a hard time about a $10,000 project.
I'm not going to give you a hard time about a $10,000.
Oh, well, give me a little bit. Give me a little pushback. Give me a little pushback.
Oh, that's more than we're willing to spend at this time.
Okay, I get that. Hey, Margina, can I ask you a question?
What's that?
Is this more about the money or quality? What's more important to you?
A lot of them will say money.
Fine. Well, and
They're not really interested in quality.
then that's, hey, then again, more power to them, right? The thing is this. But here's the thing. Sometimes we back out. Sometimes we back out because we make certain assumptions. Okay. Think of these people like, if you've ever seen the Discovery Channel, the birds that kind of fluff their feathers, and they make this big show, and they crawl and the colors and all this. This is trying to scare you. Okay.
Yeah.
And we allow ourselves to fall prey to that. Okay. I teach a class on negotiating, and I have to tell you, when you're negotiating with people, that's all it is. Right? And just that you have to know how to negotiate. I do a special class on negotiating with people that are really, really good at negotiating. I've had to deal with some people in procurement in big companies where, guess what? Their job, you guys, unless you've dealt with someone in procurement, then you ain't seen nothing. I mean, if you've dealt with someone in procurement, these are professional negotiators.
Yeah.
That's their job. Their job is to save their company money. Okay.
Yep.
And what do? They send you to them last. After they beat you up over here, then they send you to them last. And then they're going to beat you up some more. Right. So if you've already discounted by the time you get to and again, do you want to give the store away? Do you want to work twice as hard for half the money? Okay. And then you might say, yeah, but there's so many other people out there. There's so much competition. Yeah, but nobody is you. Nobody's going to give the quality that you're going to deliver. I mean, it's as simple as that. Okay. And again, I prefer to have my competitors go around chasing the little deals. I'll have the patience. I'll sit there. I'll have the patience. I'll wait for the right one. Something I learned 30 years ago, literally, I'll never forget. I went to a seminar, and there was another vendor there that told us the following. He said, remember this, and I've remembered it to this day because I saw it come true. He said, you're going to sit in front of a prospect, and they're going to beat you up for a $10,000 deal. And if you fold, you're going to live with someone that they beat you up for the $10,000 deal, and every time you send them a $500 invoice, every month that you send them a $500 invoice, they're going to be angry at you. They're going to be pissed off at you. They're going to beat you up. Conversely, you sell someone that they don't even say boo to a $50,000 or $100,000 deal. Guess what? They're not going to be happy unless you're billing them every month $2,000 or $3,000. Why? Because they want quality. Okay. They want quality. And I've had both. And I have to tell you, I've had to fire some clients, large companies. I've had to fire them because, they want to beat me up on. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. I gotta sleep with myself at night. So,
Yeah, I don't have a problem saying no.
good. Live it, breathe it.
It's just getting more difficult to navigate the landmines, that's all.
Yeah, well, you know what, you learn the tactics and you go out there and prospect more. Change up what you're doing, prospect in different places. Don't do what your competitors are doing. If your competitors
I
are
don't.
doing it, yeah, good. If your competitors are doing it, don't do it. If they're not doing it, do it, right? Prospect in different places. Try different networking. Don't just do New Jersey, do New York. Don't just do New York, do Baltimore, do Boston. You know, I mean, change things and look at different vertical markets, different products, different services. You know, one of the things I tell all my clients is, if, for instance, if you're not simultaneously building residual income, then
That's what I'm working on doing.
Okay, good. Perfect. I'm so glad to hear that,
Yeah.
because every client that I've helped build their residual income, and they get to a certain point where it's like, why wasn't I doing this before? It's so much easier, right? Because you don't sweat when you get to the point where you've got, you know, a certain amount of money, you know, residual, you know, revenue coming in every month, right? Then you don't have to chase those big deals. And let me tell you something else. There's also the Doberman principle. If people smell the need on you, okay, they're going to take advantage of that. You can't let them smell fear or need or anxiety. You've got to be confident about what you're doing.
Exactly. I agree 1000% with that.
But you got to back it up. You got to know your shit. You got to know.
I do.
That's it. And there you go. If you do, then you should get paid for it.
Mhm. It's getting to that point where they understand that, instead of comparing you to everybody else out there who doesn't.
Mhm.
And that's what's become a harder challenge.
Yeah. Well, I love a challenge. So
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
call me.
Okay. I might just call you. I'm very intrigued, Frank.
What else? Come on, hit me. No one's asked a hard question yet.
I just have something to say, to your point about people like, when they want high end and they want to spend a certain amount of money. I have this one client who wanted to order, Hydro Flask cups for an event, and Hydro Flask really doesn't sell to the promo market. They'd have to buy retail and somehow have them decorated. Anyway, found her something that was almost the same, said it was too cheap. So then I found her something else that happened to be on special. And I was like, well, the price point's too cheap. I marked it up and I made it a much higher price point to where she would be happy, thinking it was a better thing. And she was like, oh my God, you're the best. This is so great. Thank you so much. And they're beautiful. They're great quality. But if I gave them to her at like, or sold them to her at like the $15 price, she would have said they were too cheap.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Yeah, and that's a very good lesson, right? And you know, the other way to think about it too is, listen, how many of you have gone to this little known site called I think it's Amazon.
oh, yeah.
Not very well known. I don't know. Right? How many of you have gone to Amazon to buy something, and like me, you're looking for something, right? The page populates and you look at the cheapest one. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I see the cheapest one come up and I say, nah, I'm never going to buy the cheapest one. I'm going to look at the more expensive one. I may not buy that, but I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. People don't want to buy cheap. And again, I'm going to call them out. It's, you know, Harry, I mean, do you want cheap? And this is what I tell people very simply. Listen, is it about the money? Do you want cheap? Because I have to tell you, I'm never going to be the least expensive one that you talk to. You know, I have a reputation, and you know, this is what I charge. This is what it costs. It's fair. ask any one of my clients, but I'm just never going to be the cheapest guy on the block. You know, should we stop talking? Okay, I'm okay with that. Anyone else?
Yeah, and I also love the example that you gave about like the cousin or niece or nephew that they're always like, oh, like, you know, no worries. Like, I know someone will do that. I said, yeah, that's great. Like, if I handed you my camera right now and I told you to take a photo, could you take a photo? Yeah. Is it going to look anything like my photo? No. So, and when you start using, you know, what's the word? Not anonymous, comparisons, I guess, like that. I think it starts to stick a little bit more. Or like when clients want to do something themselves, I say, hey, you don't go to the barber halfway through your haircut, be like, you know what, I got the rest of this, no worries. And you do this other
Yeah.
side of your head, you know? And I think that
Exactly.
resonates more with people,
Yeah.
especially people that are open-minded but aren't thinking clearly.
Excellent. And let me capitalize on that then, because that's an important point. You know, for all of you, use anecdotal stories like that. Okay. And look, let me give you an example. Doug, my web developer, about, I don't know, 2 years ago, I had him redo my website. Now, and I explain this to people. Okay. I was in the world of web development, again, early 2000s. I came out of technology. I was never shy. I've had multiple companies. Every company that I've started, I've always done the first iteration of the website myself. Okay. So my last website for my company, I did it myself. You know, I did it on GoDaddy, you know, slapped it together. Okay. It was pretty decent. Okay. But what did I do? And Steve's laughing because he knows the story. What did I do? After about a year, I said, okay, now I'm ready, right? I kicked it all around. I did everything. I had a vision. And what did I do? I said, okay, picked up the phone, called Doug, and I said, Doug, here's what I want. I didn't even ask him how much. I said, here's what I want. I gave him my vision, and he gave me a kick-ass website. Okay. So he gave me something that I knew I could not do. So what you need to be able to explain to people is, look, listen, you can go out, you can do Wix, you can do, you know, go out and get a 4K camera and, you know, do it yourself. That's okay. But I mean, do you know about editing? I'm just curious. Do you know about music? I'm just curious. Do you know about lighting? I'm just curious. Right. So I'm going to throw out enough stuff that I'm gonna ask them, do you know about this? Do you know about that? What would you do in this circumstance? What would you do in that? And again, just ask them enough technical questions and just leave it, you know, leave it to them. Okay.
I was laughing because I just did the exact same thing. I just hired Doug to redo my website, and I don't even know what he's going to charge me.
Yeah, and he's so fair. You're going to be surprised. He's so fair.
I know.
You know, and you know, and the thing is, you're going to get a good website. But again, you know, how many of us wouldn't? You know, you play around, you dance around, photograph, video, whatever. But at some point, you know, what I would tell them is, listen, at some point you have to grow up. At some point, you got to put big boy or big girl pants on. At some point, you know, is that point now? Is that time now? Or, you know, do you want to keep playing in the little, you know? You know, I mean, listen, you got to be able to tell people stuff, you know, to be honest with. But here, I'm going to give you another one. Here's another freebie. Here's another freebie. I have fun with this. By the way, you have to have fun doing this. So, who have I not played with? Christian, we haven't played. Role play?
Sure.
Okay. So let's say you're giving me a hard time about price. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm in role play now. I say, hey, Christian, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And I gotta tell you, this is a hard question, so you know, bear with me. Would it be okay with you if I took my sales hat off and put my consulting hat on?
You're
You okay? You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna put my consulting hat on, and now as a consultant, I have to ask you a question. And again, I'm apologizing, before I even ask you this question. As a consultant, how can I reach across the desk? How can I reach across the Zoom screen, grab you by the collar and say, Christian, what are you trying to do here? You want quality, you want this, you want that, and you're not willing to pay for it. How can I tell you, don't do that. Don't do that to your company. How can I do that?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I got lost. I got confused there.
You got confused. Zach, play with me. All right, did you hear the question?
I heard the question. It's hard to answer. How do you answer that question?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. Well, but Zach, how do I reach across the Zoom screen and tell you, dude, you're crazy. You're insane. Don't do this to your company. You want quality. I know what it is that you want to accomplish. I know how important it is. I know it's keeping you up at night, but you want to pay 5 and dime prices for this? Oh man, don't listen. Go somewhere else. But if it were me, I wouldn't do that. But go ahead.
I like that. Would you also give like examples of what you could get for that kind of price?
Yeah.
Like you had brought up like, oh, like, I can take out my iPhone for that price, or,
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to be as like,
you don't want to be in their face like me.
I mean, if it works, I'll do it.
It works, man. I'll tell you what. So look, what you can do though is this. So again, now we're getting into negotiating. Okay. So unbeknownst to you, we're all over the place. And now we're talking about negotiating. So in terms of negotiating, and I can spend 2 hours on negotiating. So I'll just say this. When it comes to negotiating, first off, you need to be able to give concessions, but not unilateral concessions. You need to be able to give concessions, right, that you can give, but you don't want to give them right away, right? Number one. Number two, you always want to work down the price. So in other words, if they say to me, 10,000, I was thinking more like 7. Okay, hey, no problem. If that's your budget, cool, no problem. What we can do is I'll take this out, and this out, right? And then if at any point you want to add it, we'll do it, no problem. You're just not going to get the full boat. Okay, I get it. You want the caddy, you don't want the 4 tires, no problem. Okay, it's okay. You do a Fred Flintstone, whatever. I get it, right? The other thing too is you never want to, if I'm going to do that, by the way, and this goes off into another topic, but if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to give them a concession, I'm going to give them something, I'm also going to make sure that I get something of equal or greater value from them. Okay, and that's a whole other conversation. So you can see there's a lot to this, but if you study it, you should be having fun doing this, without letting yourself be painted up against the wall. Anyone else? Going once.
There's a question on the Facebook group, and I think that
Okay.
Maybe that'll be a good way to wrap up.
Sure.
So many tabs. Mike Walker asked, how do you draw the line between upselling and seeming too greedy?
Okay, good, great question. So first off, if you become a good diagnostician, right? If you become a good diagnostician, you get to understand what it is that they need, what their goals are, right? What's keeping them up at night, their angst, right? If you really, really understand that, what you want to be able to do is talk about those deliverables, right? What it is that you're going to be able to do for them in that regard, okay? Now, I'm always concerned about planting seeds for the future. You have to understand, I don't want a transactional business. So it's not, I don't want to just do this. What I want is a client for life. All right. So I want to be able to say, whether it's upselling, cross-selling, or referrals, right? Whatever it is, it's all about that relationship. It's to be able to say, hey, listen, so I get it. You want the website, you want the video, right? Whatever it is. You want a logo, great. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to frame, right, I'm going to deliver my diagnosis. I'm going to present my prices, all that stuff. And then I'm going to say, listen, for future reference, somewhere down the line, you may want to consider this, this, and this. But we could talk about it then. I'm not really concerned about that. Okay. If they really want this, first off, I'm going to service the hell out of them. I'm going to spoil them rotten. I'm going to over deliver. Okay. I'm always going to give them extra things that they don't even know. Any one of my clients will tell you, I give them extra stuff. I spoil them rotten. And I'm okay with that. And then later on down the line, if I say, hey, listen, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Right. So I'm never concerned about upselling or cross-selling, in that initial phase. Okay. So by the time I do if I'm going to visit them in 6 months to talk about upselling or cross-selling, it's already part of a conversation. They already see it coming. Who else? That's it.
I think that might be
Was
it.
this all right? Was this helpful? Anyone? Is that okay?
Very helpful.
I think
Thank
so.
you so much.
Okay, good. Well, nobody fell asleep that I can tell. I don't know. I didn't see some people there, so I don't know. Some of you might be, but hopefully not. Good. So, all right. Well, listen, you know how to reach me. You have my website. Anyone needs anything, I love helping people. So go out there and sell something, and don't give the store away.
Frank, that was
Thank you so
amazing.
much,
Thank
Frank.
you so much.
All right, my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
All right, take care, everyone.
Thank you to everyone.
All right.
Thank you to everyone that was watching on Facebook as well. We had like 8 people to 10 people the entire time. So
Excellent, good. So, all right, good night, everyone. Good luck. Go sell something, make us proud. And Dan, do I need to do anything here with Zoom?
Good night.
Good night.
nope.
Mary Jo.
I got